Zitian. I'm the co-founder of Intellects, a legal tech startup in Singapore.
And let me tell you something. Today, we make history. This is the first time ever Slush is held in Southeast Asia, here in Singapore. Of course, as many of you know, Slush is a global non-profit movement of students, entrepreneurs, young people that come together and make exciting things like this happen. We want to celebrate entrepreneurship. We want to celebrate startups. We want to create something different for the community, by the community. And let me tell you, the event today is a fantastic showcase of that. We have had 200 volunteers to work on this event here in Singapore. 200 volunteers and tens of community partners have actually created everything from scratch, from reaching out to speakers, to planning logistics, to doing the events management, all of it. It's been exciting, incredibly exciting, and I'm so proud of the whole team. And what makes me even more proud is that we have done all this in 101 days only. Imagine that. Amazing effort. So whenever you guys will see somebody walk around with a t-shirt like this, please give them a high five, okay? Because they've done the best job ever. Another reason why today is historic is, of course, because it's the first year when Tech Venture is actually partnering a grounds-up movement. We feel that this is the way to go forward. We feel this is the right step. We want to make sure that we take steps towards doing things grounds up, and this is the very first step. Now, isn't that exciting, Titian?
Exactly. So this is my sixth tech venture. So previously I've attended tech venture as a student for the past 4 years, as one of the organizers when I was part of the NRF, and now I'm part of the ecosystem as a startup founder attending the event. So I've witnessed how our ecosystem has grew for the past 5 years. Today has been amazing. We can see the venture capitalists, representatives from the government, people from the grassroots, students. It's going to be exciting.
Yes! Are you ready to kick off Slush Singapore Tech Venture? Woo! And who would be a better person to do that than a man who was actually there and founded the very first Slush in Finland in 2008. This man has actually seen entrepreneurship from all the possible angles, from the Mighty Eagle angle and all other angles. Please give a warm welcome to Peter Vesterbacka.
Yeah, hey, it's really fantastic to be here, and as Anna said, it's kind of like a historic day, so the first Slush here in Southeast Asia ever. And for me personally, it's great to see this, because we started Slush all the way back in 2008, so 8 years ago, and yeah, look at this. I mean, it's really fantastic to be here. And yeah, the world has changed a lot in the last kind of like 8 years. But if you go back to where we started, so we started in Helsinki. And you might ask yourself that, okay, Slush, why is it actually called Slush? Okay, back in 2007, I gave a talk to 600 Aalto University students. And in typical like Finnish manner, I gave a talk that was called It's Okay to be an Entrepreneur. So if you know Finnish people, we are like very, very modest, and if we say that something is okay, it's almost like saying that it's like fantastic, best thing ever. You know, you had the Formula One here in Singapore, and the Finnish driver Kimi Räikkönen, you know, unless he wins, you know, he'll always say that, yeah, you know, it wasn't much, he did okay. So that's like Finnish modesty. So I gave a talk about the fact that it's okay to be an entrepreneur to the students, and of course I meant that it's fantastic and it's what you should do. And then I asked the students during my presentation that, okay, how many of you guys are going to start your own company once you graduate, or even before, because that's okay as well. And out of the 600 students, and this was 2007, 3 hands went up, only 3. That's like complete disaster. And then after this presentation, got a few friends together, and we said we have to do something. This is, disaster. Kind of like future of the nation is at stake. We have to fix this. So then we organized the first Slush in 2008. Then invited a few fellow entrepreneurs, people who had been a bit successful with their startups. So Ilkka Paananen, everybody knows him now. He sold his latest startup, Supercell, to Tencent for 10 billion. So that's the first decacorn in Europe. And then Risto Siilasmaa, who started F-Secure, Sampo Karjalainen started Habbo Hotel, Monty Videnius started MySQL. And I told the guys that actually just like share your experiences, why is it cool to be an entrepreneur? And then that's what they did. 300 people showed up at the first Slush event. And everybody got like super excited that, this is fantastic. There are so many other people, other young people that are into this startup thing and they want to be entrepreneurs. So it's again, you know how it is that first you think that you are the only crazy one, you're the only one who wants to do a startup and everybody else is going to work for like the government or a big company. But then you see that, there are other crazy people wanting to do the same. So it's kind of like very, very contagious. And then we organized this event in November. Why? Because in November, Helsinki is cold, it's dark, and there's also like slush on the ground. So it's not the Silicon Valley. You can't mistake it for Silicon Valley. Definitely not the Silicon Valley. It's better. And it's better because it's different. So Slush is called Slush because from the beginning we wanted to make very clear that this is not one more of those wannabe Silicon Valley events. We are the Silicon Valley of this, we are the Silicon Valley of that. I've been to hundreds of events where people will tell you that we are the Silicon Valley of animation, we are the Silicon Valley of whatever. And we wanted to make very, very clear that what we are doing, we are building something that is much better because it's different. And that's also what you could see already when we kicked off the event here. This is very different from any other event. So that's why it's called Slush. Okay, then what happened with Slush? From the beginning, it's been built by volunteers. As Anna said, we have had over 200 volunteers, young people of Singapore here building Slush, this event. So, big thank you to all of you guys who helped make this happen. It's actually all about the volunteers making this. And this has always been the case. Whenever we do a Slush event, it's always about the volunteers. It's by the community, for the community, by entrepreneurs, for entrepreneurs, by startups, for startups. In Finland, we now grown to over 2,000 volunteers from more than 50 countries. So it's a massive educational program, if you will. Every year, 2,000 young people will see that they can do anything. They can build their own company, they can build the best event on the planet. And what happened with Slush, it grew from 300 people in 2008 to almost 20,000 people getting together every year in November in the cold, dark, slushy streets of Helsinki. And the most fantastic thing is that in just 5 years, we changed the country, we changed Northern Europe. When I did the same talk to the Aalto University students 5 years after starting Slush, again about it being okay to be an entrepreneur, I asked them, how many of you guys want to start your own company? And guess what? More than half of the hands went up. So we did a cultural revolution in just 5 years. And those of you who know how difficult it is to change attitude and culture, 5 years is nothing. And actually had a quick chat with the Deputy Prime Minister here, and it was actually reminded me of a story and what happened in Finland. So our former Prime Minister, after, like 5 or 6 years after we started Slush, he came to the event. And then he was actually asked that, how did you, in Finland, how did the government make this fantastic change happen, that you created this, fantastic dynamic ecosystem of startups and this explosion in entrepreneurship in Finland? How did you do that? And then Jyrki Katainen, the former Prime Minister, answered that, I don't know. Of course, I mean, Jyrki knew very much what happened and what the Slush movement did and what the young people did, but he wanted to make a point. It was not done by the government. It was done by the young people. And this is also what we want to bring to the ecosystem here in Singapore, to Southeast Asia, is this bottoms-up grassroots movement to change the world. Because that's what we're doing. Entrepreneurs, startups will change the world, but it has to be done by the young people, for the young people, by themselves. Only way to make it sustainable. So my goal here in Singapore is that when the Deputy Prime Minister, the Prime Minister in Singapore is asked, 5 years from now, how did you make Singapore this, shining light, this beacon of entrepreneurship? How did you make it happen? Then I hope that the Prime Minister answers that, I don't know. The young people made it happen. So, thank you very much, and let's give the volunteers here a big applause. You guys are making this happen.